What's going on, everybody? Welcome to another episode of the AMS podcast. I am your host, Adrian Michael Soto, here with another episode of the podcast. And to some who may not know, I recently announced some news that the podcast and the channel itself will be coming to a hiatus at the end of June. I will let you know once the final videos are. But if you want to see what happened and things like that, check out a video on a recent update for the channel. But in the meantime, let's get to today's episode. This episode is going to be based off of what I've shared to you all on movies coming out. And as you'll see here on the side of me right now, and to some who may not know, me being the movie fanatic, I'll get the questions here and there every so often happening of movies coming out, what's there good to watch, or I share to people on social media what to watch. And as you may see the little title here slide, summer movie preview. Summer doesn't really technically start till June, but in movie Hollywood terms, you could Google a list of summer movies to come within the upcoming months, starting from May, June, July, and August. And there's a vast majority of stuff to watch. And I may have included a few films that are not your typical blockbusters. So a lot of these are going to be your blockbuster type films, and I'll go in a little bit of description on each of them. And some of them I'm gonna definitely check out. Some I'm hesitant on, and either it's not my cup of tea or maybe it's your cup of tea. So let's get started. As of the time of this release, this first movie that is out right now is Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3. It made $182 million at the box office. Let me. It has made 282 million 289 worldwide, and I believe it made 119 only in the US. But it's only been its first weekend. So right now it's already standing at 318. So it's been the first weekend. Don't worry, to any of you that know me very well, I will have a review soon of the film. I've heard nothing but great things, that this should have started off the new phase of the Marvel Cinematic Universe. The story arc of each of those characters is just so interesting and fascinating. The way James Gunn does his directing and brings out the best of all these actors. So let me know if you all have seen the movie. Comment below. And Guardians of the Galaxy is part of the list that I've did my research on, that they're considering it summer movie season. So let's go ahead and go to the next one. And this next one, yep. To me, the Fast and Furious franchise should have ended once the unfortunate passing of Paul Walker. I enjoyed it originally before he had passed. Yes, there's silly cheesiness, and to some of you that may not have realized it at first, I've heard this reference that the very first Fast and the Furious is making sure. Yes, it is on. I hear myself. The first Fast and the Furious back in 2001 was a version of Point Break starring Keanu Reeves. But the way these movies have progressed, as you can see, the 10th film in this franchise is that they've gone from street racers to super spies who have superpowers, and Vin Diesel is one of them. And this looks like it's going to be more bananas. And they add in none other than Aquaman himself, Jason Momoa. As you may have seen the list of actors Vin Diesel, Jason Momoa, Alan Richardson, Rita Moreno, Michelle Rodriguez, Brie Larson, Seung Kang, Jason Statham, Tyrese Gibson, Charlize Theron, Jordan Brewster, John Cena, and Scott Eastwood. Not familiar with this director, but I guess he was convinced by Vin Diesel to join this big, ginormous franchise. And when I say that it should have ended, we could probably say that on a lot of films, but Hollywood in general, if movies make money, then they're going to keep making money. And this overall franchise, I'm going to look this up for you just a second here. How much have the Fast and Furious movies made? The franchise has made over $6 billion. So Hollywood type people will end up saying yes to making more movies, whether or not it's your cup of tea or you gave up after the beginning and the original. But here we go. Fast and Furious 10 coming out May 19th. Next one, The Little Mermaid, another Disney live action remake, remake of the classic Disney film. This one is coming out May 27th and stars. I don't want to. I heard a video pundit Halle Bailey, Melissa McCarthy, Jonah King, Simone Ashley, Jacob Tremblay, David Diggs, Javier Bardem, Aquafina, and I think I said Melissa McCarthy. This one, from all the Disney, them doing all the Disney classics, I would say Aladdin and The Jungle Book were the ones I enjoyed the most. All the other ones were so, but in most cases, you end up having to. I would say you show this to the new generation in today's audience, but then if they're not fans of it, if they don't see it, then you can present them with the original. But I follow all the news media outlets on the webs. This one is, critics are saying this one is by far the best adaptation of the live action Disney classics. Halle Bailey is a standout. She is an actual singer in real life. And it just goes to show that they have a star in their hands. And it's kind of getting the mixed things of they do too much as what they did, like for example in The Lion King, where they try to use CGI animals and they try to do a version of that, and that made over $1 billion, even though it wasn't critically acclaimed, or I think the audience perceived it really well, but the critics didn't really care for it. And there we go. So, will you be all going to see this Memorial Weekend? Disney's The Little Mermaid. Next is Spider-Verse Across the Spider-Verse. I don't know if you all have watched anything that I've mentioned before. I believe it was on the comic book episode. I would say that this animated version of Spider-Man is really, really good. And it just, the storytelling and what it is of how they introduced a character who's Afro-Latino, African American, and Latino at the same time. It pretty much just really good film, got and I believe it did win for best animated film. This is going to be part 1 of 2. This one is coming out, we're already going into the month of June, and this looks to be even more exciting. Going to introduce a whole lot more Spider-Mans. You should check the breakdowns of how many Spider-Mans are going to end up in this movie. looks really good. The voice cast is perfect. Um, I would say this is going to be in my top 10 or my one of my top watch lists. So Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse, Across the Spider-Verse, excuse me. Next one is Transformers Rise of the Beast. And in this one, it pretty much Transformers movies when they started, I was like, okay, this is something different, interesting. And Michael Bay, to those who are Michael Bay fans, to those who are not, you know his directing style. And this is like a origin story before the original one that came out in, I believe, 2006 or 7 with Shia LaBeouf and Megan Fox. And so this one is Rise of the Beast, Beast Wars, and we're going to see Transformers. The image is a little bit faulty, but believe Ron Perlman, who did Hellboy, is the ape. And I don't know my Transformers very well, but this looks to be set in the 90s, right before the 2007 film, as I stated before. But Transformers Rise of the Beast coming out June 9th. The Flash. Now, this one, to those who don't follow the situation, the main actor Ezra Miller, he's preferred to be known as, was involved in some outside stuff, even I believe after or a little bit during and throughout. And some of these movies ended up getting pushed, including this one, got involved into some legal issues. That's all I'll say. You can look it up. But from what I've heard from critics, that this movie is really good because it is going to set like a ending of a series of characters you've seen in the DC Comics movies, because they're going to be doing a reboot starting next year with James Gunn, who's coming from the Marvel Cinematic Universe and is going to be taking control over DC. And one of his first projects is introducing a brand new Superman. So, to my comic fans, this story goes off of the Flashpoint, where alternate realities and things happen, and Barry's the Flash ends up having to um trying to deal with trying to have you seen the trailer? He's trying to save his mom and just change reality, but at the same time certain things change, where it's one of those Back to the Future-esque and kind of like Avengers Endgame in a way of going back in time and changing stuff up. Excuse me. It does look really good. Me being the comic book fan of films, and like I said, issues aside with what Ezra Miller did, I want to see it for other things, but I've heard that they do a really good job in this movie, and this one is going to be released on June 16th. And this one is a film where I had need to see the filmmaker's work. Wes Anderson. I've I know of Wes Anderson. I know of his filmography. I to me, I would have assumed or thought I'll give anybody a chance. And he's done a variety of different films. A good friend of mine told me about the Grand Budapest Hotel and saying that it's a really good movie. Other ones he's done, The French Dispatch, Fantastic Mr. Fox, and his style of writing is done really well. This cast is the movie is supposed to be released. Oh, come on. June 16th as well. So it looks like the weekend of June 16th is going to be stacked because I have several other movies to discuss. You have Tom Hanks, Maya Hawke, Sophia Lillis, Margot Robbie, Scarlett Johansson, Tony Ravioli, Schwartzman, Steve Carell, Bryan Cranston, Matt Dillon, Willem Dafoe, Tilda Swinton. I mean, that's the I know that he adds just a wide range of cast members, and with a film like this, I've seen the previews for it. It does look interesting, and I'm gonna have to start watching Wes Anderson films. You let me know what I should start off with. Like I said, for my friend, reference to watch Grand Budapest Hotel, where I know that's also a stat cast, and it ends up being in the sense of that it's a comedy. This looks like a comedy, and once you see the trailer, you'll end up kind of seeing if this is a movie you'll like or might not like. So, Asteroid City, coming June 16th. When I was in the theater, before I mentioned this one, when I was in a movie theater, this preview came on. I was like, okay. And then as it progressed, I was like, this is something really different. As it says in this is called The Blackening, in theaters June 16th. And as it says, the line here, we can all die first. And to some who may not know or may not have noticed, in horror movies, they always portray the black character, African American character, to die first. And as you see here, it is a all African American black cast. And the style of it, I'll read you the synopsis. The style of it, it looks like a comedy, kind of like Scary Movie, or they're doing like the satire and the tropes of horror movies. And it looks pretty interesting just to see where they're going to take it. So I'm going to read you the synopsis here real quick. 7 black friends who go away for the weekend to only find themselves trapped in a cabin with a killer who has a vendetta. With their street smarts and knowledge of horror films to help them. So it's going to probably be suspenseful, funny, and just those tropes of a horror movie. So something different take on it. Looks a horror comedy, and I know someone had mentioned to me that comedy genre has been deadened for the most part. So let's see, is this gonna kind of lift up the comedy aspect to another level? So The Blackening, in theaters June 16th. And we have another one, but by Pixar, Disney Pixar, Elemental. And this looks to be a cute family movie. Also in theaters June 16th. Read you the synopsis for this. If you haven't seen the trailer, the premise is, as it says in the title, it's elementals, fire, water, uh, elemental. In a city where fire, water, land, and air residents live together, a fiery young woman and a go with the flow guy discover something elemental, how much they actually have in common. So it looks like a love story and acceptance of being different from the other person. So knowing Pixar, this may be a hit on their hands. So Elemental in theaters June 16th. And this one is another on my top watch list, Indiana Jones and the Dial of Destiny. And for this, you may have not known or realized that when they did the 3 Indiana Jones movies, it ended perfectly there, but as I stated with Fast and Furious, they have the character and they want to do more stories. So they decided to do Kingdom of the Crystal Skull. To those who have seen it, you know the not so warm reception towards it. And you kind of feel bummed that that was a movie they gave him. Hence, in this movie here, you have a director in James Mangold who has done Logan, Ford v Ferrari, and a lot of other good films. So I believe and trust in someone like him. And it's going to be one of those that Harrison Ford says this will be the last time you see Indiana Jones in a movie. So you'll get kind of like how it ended in the third film, The Last Crusade, as spoiler alert if you haven't seen it, him going into the distance of the desert. So I am definitely looking forward to this. It has I believe, also John Williams, who, if you don't know who John Williams, look him up and make sure you see the list of movies he's done. It's going to be his last time doing music composer, and it's going to be really exciting to see. So, Indiana Jones coming out, I believe, June 30th. Joyride. This film I just heard a few weeks ago was coming out. And excuse me, I'm going to step away for a second. Okay, I'm back. Joyride. Let's see the synopsis. Joyride 2023 film. It has 100% Rotten Tomatoes, Metacritic 80. And it looks like from the people that brought you the Neighbors, Crazy Rich Asians, and this looks like a raunchy but fun looking comedy. So definitely check it out, coming out July 7th. And it stars Ashley Park, Shirley Colas, Stephanie Hugh, and Sabrina Wu. So it's going to have an Asian cast, and it looks to be a funny movie. It's coming out July 7th. And the next one, none other than Tom Cruise himself, probably going to do a boatload of stunts in this movie. Mission Impossible Dead Reckoning Part 1. He is going to do a Part 2, hence the title. And if you all haven't seen one of the stunts he's doing, just look it up on the internet. And it shows him literally practicing going off a motorcycle off a cliff, then using a parachute. That's all I'll say. Just look it up for yourself. The man is 60 years old and still doing loads of stuff that a 60-year-old would probably let a young guy in their 30s do the stunts. But that's how dedicated Tom Cruise is. And looks to be an exciting movie to check out, coming out July 12th. And I think we're almost towards the end. Barbie, led by Margot Robbie. And when the trailer came out for this one, I was interested in the sense of where are they going to take this movie? And it doesn't say. Okay, I was. I'm as I'm talking to you now. is saying it will be rated PG-13 and a more of a generational thing. And if you all haven't seen the trailer, check it out. It does look interesting. Margot Robbie, and there's a bunch of different actors in here: Ryan Gosling, Will Ferrell, Simu Liu, Michael Cera, Kate McKinnon, America Ferrera, Issa Rae, are just a wide cast list of so many people. And I would definitely tell that Greta Gerwig, I've heard of her work, just done other really good films. It's going to be more of a nostalgia, kind of like if you all have seen the Super Mario Brothers movie, you're going to probably get such a different toy references and just Barbie clothing, houses, cars, just so many little Easter eggs throughout this movie. And this one is on July 20th, July 21st, one day off, July 21st. And Oppenheimer. Now, this one is done by Universal Studios. And the reason why I say this, because it is directed by Christopher Nolan. And a little bit of a backstory with Christopher Nolan. During the time of 2020, to some who may not, uh, he did a film called, oh my gosh, I already drew a blank. Well, he did a film in 2020, Tenants. There we go. Sorry, there's too many movies to remember, but he worked with Warner Brothers and they wanted this movie to be streamed. He didn't want it to be streamed, the movie Tenet. So kind of had a falling out. And now he's working with Universal Studios. And Oppenheimer is basically the story of the team of scientists to work on the Manhattan Project, leading to the development of the atomic bomb. And knowing how Christopher Nolan does movies, this one looks really good. An all-star cast and anything involving history. I would assume that it's nothing Christopher Nolan's going to sneeze at. And this one's also coming out July 21st. So to my moviegoers, um, you'll you'll have the decision between this one and the Barbie movie, and see what you all decide. So Oppenheimer coming out July 21st. And I saw this and I wanted to confirm. If not, oh, it still shows the date. A Haunted Mansion. Disney's going to take another crack at one of their, you could call it a redo of their rides and of any of the most popular rides that Disney's ever created, the Haunted Mansion. It does look to be more specific to the actual ride itself. The one with Eddie Murphy had its little Easter eggs here and there, but this one is definitely going to show the the specifics and the storytelling of what made such a popular theme park ride into a movie, and give you the cast list: Jared Leto, Tiffany Haddish, Owen Wilson, Lakeith Stanfield, Ryan Gosling, Jamie Lee Curtis, Danny DeVito, Rosario Dawson, Dan Levy. Disney, another full cast of talented people, and you all love the Disney ride versions like Pirates of the Caribbean, the Jungle Cruise, of these adaptations. So check out this one, July 28th. And I believe this is, yeah, we have a few more. I saw the first one in parts, and obviously it's silly, but like I said, it makes when a movie makes money, they'll definitely do a sequel. So I'm gonna just Google the Meg here. The first Meg, which came out back in 2018. And the Meg cost 130 to 178 million, and it made 530 million back. So, as I've stated before in previous movies releases, you're gonna make your money back, and you make the sequels. And this is what they're doing. It is a giant shark and Jason Statham fighting against Jason Statham, coming out August 4th. This your all's cup of tea? And yes, it's gonna be a CGI fest, as some of these other movies like Fast and Furious and Transformers. So, is this on your list of movies to watch? I'm gonna have to rewatch it in full, the Meg, and maybe I'll watch it later on down the line. But let me know if you all are definitely gonna check this one out. The Meg, August 4th. This one, I didn't even know they were doing another video game adaptation, Gran Turismo. I believe it is, correct me if I'm wrong in the comments, but I believe it's only through PlayStation video game series. And the way they're trying to portray this is a racing style. It is a racing style game, but they want to go for the authenticity. And caught the trailer a while back ago, and it seems interesting, and another take of, can video game movies stand up hold with other, with other genres of movies. And if you all didn't realize, the Super Mario Brother movies, the Super Mario Brother movie has joined the $1 billion club. And before I end this episode today, I'm gonna decide on at least 5, maybe 4 movies that can make them $1 billion club. And the next one is going to be Blue Beetle, and it is led by, I don't want to mispronounce his name. To all those who will watch the Karate Kid series on Netflix, you may know who I'm talking about in just a second. This is going to be DC's last version of this iteration of films. I'm not sure if this character is going to be a part of the reboot that James Gunn is currently doing. Cholo Sol Cholo Mardueña. I'm sorry if I mispronounced that. Famously from the, like I said, the Karate Kid series on Netflix, um, Cobra Kai, and I know there's a lot of fans out there. So this looks to be interesting because it's led by as a first Latino superhero, and let's and when I saw the trailer for this, it ends up having the aspect of kind of like Iron Man and Venom. So one of the last movies for the summer. And let's see if DC can end this sort of film series and see if they're going to introduce this character into the new set of films and reboots that they're going to be doing. Oh, here we go. I wanted to share this one. This one looks more of an independent film. Blackberry and Jay Birchall. He's been in the movies like How to Train Your Dragon. Yeah, Jay Birchall. And it's the origin of how the BlackBerry was made. Seeing the trailer looks pretty interesting, and you always are interested by the origins of how technology is made right here. And especially, I remember I knew family members that had Blackberries, and you all tell me, did you have a BlackBerry, or did you know anybody that had a BlackBerry? And just the process of how something gets made and is just so popular, and it ends up just becoming just the interesting story of what came before us and stuff. And so, yeah, that is it for the list. Before we end the episode, to some of you that are the movie fanatics like myself, it's not that I say not I don't watch it, but I just see what happens. Kind of like, if it can attest to get reaching that stature. Like, I really wouldn't have thought the Super Mario Brothers would have made $1 billion, but it's already there. And some of these movies are going to possibly reach that. Out of that list of movies, no particular order, I'm going to say Mission Impossible Dead Reckoning, Spider Man Across the Spider Verse, The Little Mermaid, and Indiana Jones and the Dial of Destiny. So let's see if I'm right by the end of the summer, and what reaches a billion. Maybe none of them do, or one or two of them do. You all let me know what you're all excited to see for this summer movie preview season. This is going to be one of the last movie previews, as you probably saw here on this episode. I gave you from May, June, July, and August. There's probably other movies that I may have not referenced. Let me know any movies that you want to see that maybe it's none of these that I referenced here on this list. Anything in particular? Comment below. Like, share, and subscribe this video. And that's it, guys. Thank you all for watching another episode of the AMS podcast, discussing things about film, past, present, and future. I am Adrian Michael Soto. I will see you all next time. Bye bye for now.